Hey there, welcome to a new video. My name is BassTi and I've been producing music for around 6 years now, and in today's video I'm going to show you step by step how you can create rhythm like a Modal Nodes. It sounds like this. Let's start with the most important thing, the sound designing of the main basses. And the main basses were made with phaseplant, which is, by the way, 50% off at the moment. I actually have an affiliate link for Plugin Boutique down below in the description, so make sure to use this when you want to grab phaseplant. It won't cost anymore. It's just a little commission percentage I get. So this helps me, but also Kilohearts, who are the best plugin company out there. The phaseplant patch itself sounds like this. So you can hear there's quite some modulation going on. And first I want to quickly guide you through it, and then later on we will have a look at the post-processing, because we are turning this into this. So it's quite a difference, but it will be worth it following all my steps because I will explain everything. First, I'm starting with a square wave table right here. And the square wave table is going into lane 1. In lane 1, we first have a filter table going on. I played around with a few different filter tables, so I was able to find out which filter table works the best and which settings. And this one, the bright vowels one, worked the best for this kind of movement I was looking for. I'm modulating the cutoff with the node device right here. So it's basically key tracking the position of the filter table. And the cutoff is also being modulated by the macro. So I was just able to tweak it to my likings and just find out the perfect spot for the tone I was looking for. The position of the filter table is being modulated by this LFO down on the left. There's this macro, which is just changing the table position to my likings if I want some quick variations. Also, it's important to set the phase on linear because it sounds a little bit different. In lane 1, there's also some filter movement going on. We first have this high pass filter right here, which is also being triggered by the same LFO. And there's this low pass filter, which is being triggered by this different LFO right here. So it changes the tonality slightly. Next, we have this convolver right here, which is being modulated by the same LFO, which was modulating the position of the table before. I also used a different convolver, the Brix convolver. And it just added some more diffusion, some more width to the sound. Also the comp filter for some more stereo down here, but the mix is not all the way up. This is just the square wave being processed in lane 1. And I also forgot to mention the level is also being modulated by this LFO down here. In lane 2, we are now adding the sub bass. And for the sub bass, I just used the sine, and the sine is also being modulated by this LFO down here. This one. In lane 2, I'm basically only processing the sub signal because I sent lane 1 straight into lane 3, where we are doing some crazy ring mod stuff later on, which I will explain in a minute. In lane 2, for the sub bass processing, I basically only added a disperser on these settings and a clipper. I don't know why. The clipper is basically doing nothing, so I don't know why I put it there. Probably just for visualization. All right, now the most important thing, lane 3. In lane 3, we are now routing the square wave and the sub bass together. And we are also adding a different oscillator right here, this sine, on which I added some overdrive distortion with a lot of bias. And this is going into the sideband. And this helps us to crunch the things together now. For this method, I'm using the ring mod device from Kilohearts, and I'm sending this sine wave into the sideband, and we can quickly have a look what it's doing. Let me disable the mix here. And you can hear it get some more grittiness. And when we now even enhance the drive, you can hear a little bit better what it is doing. It's just adding crunch and a little bit of rumpliness, I would say, because this sine wave is now modulating our signal basically through the ring mod. Next, we have some distortion, which is also heavily being automated by this LFO on the drive, then the dynamics by the same LFO, but in the reverse way, and the mix by the same LFO as well, like that. I don't know why I did it this way. It just sounded good. I was tweaking around with all the different parameters, also with the filter tables, as you can see here, also with a different distortion on the sub bass, but later on, these were the settings which worked the best. So it sounded good, and then I took it like that, and I'm really happy with how this is sounding like. And for variations, I assigned a bunch of parameters to these macros so we can get quick variations. macro 3 is routed to the filter table, and this obviously does the most changes here on the sound. But this phaseplant patch was just at the beginning, because later on I turned it into this. And now in the next steps, I will explain exactly what I did to get this sound like it's sounding right now. If you enjoyed the video already, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and also activate the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos and live streams. So first I rendered out an iteration of this phaseplant patch into audio, so I was just able to align it the way I wanted, and also do some volume fade adjustments, as you can see here, really tiny. The first step was actually decapitator for distortion. So we are making it louder, a little bit more drivey. And then we have a snappy, which is doing a lot. But these automations you can see down here aren't doing anything. There's actually only 4 things happening. First, I loaded in an audio follower, which is tracking the audio waveform of the signal. And I'm applying this to a filter table. This is not an ordinary filter table. This is the nasko band reject filter, which only has the peak on the left part of this notch. And this creates some nice rowdy movement. After that, I added a distortion, which just makes everything louder basically on the saturate mode with lots of drive and the mix all the way up. And the last step is basically the filter. The cutoff is also being triggered by the audio follower, and I'm just cutting out a little bit of high end here. Now we have some Valhalla room to just add some more width and some more space to the sound. Next step is back comp, to compress the signal and just get more beef out of it. This is the best thing you can do on your basses, adding spec comp. Following, we have the ambassador, which is boosting the lower frequencies. Now we have an effect rack, which splits the signal into the dry signal and into a wet signal. In this chain, we are first cutting out all the lower mids and the low end. After that, I added shaper box, which is adding some noise. Then we have some more decapitator for distortion, more EQing to cut out unnecessary frequencies, a snap peep with some shaper table and a filter, and both are being triggered by another audio follower again. Last, we have an EQ, which also makes sure again we don't have any mids and low end. These 2 signals are going into the next processing step, which is another snap peep. And on this snap peep, I'm adding a convolver on the disperser mode and another distortion with some bias. So this is gluing everything together again a little bit. Next, we have some spectral time, which isn't doing much, only on 18%. And another ambassador to boost the lower frequencies again. Then we have an M wave shaper, which is adding some more fuzziness to the entire thing. And this actually does quite a lot. So yeah, shout out to M Wavefolder. And by the way, if you want to grab any plugin, if it's phaseplant or M Wavefolder, make sure to use the links in the description, which lead you to Plugin Boutique. It won't cost any more. It's just an affiliate link. And also helps the channel and of course me in this indirect way. I appreciate everyone using the links in the description. Next, we have an EQ, which is just cutting out some of the lower mids. Another EQ, which is basically doing the same. Then I split the signal into the low band with some more saturation on it. And everything else, the mids and the high band. Then we have some more EQing, which is actually also cutting out some low end. This looks illegal, but it actually does a lot, because in the next step, I added Saturn. And without the EQ, it sounds completely different. So this actually does a lot. So this helps a lot farming the low band. After that, we have another snappy, just with more distortion, kilohertz distortion and kilohertz shaper. And after that, there's just some more EQing. Besides that, there are also auto filters and a delay and reverb going on, which is just meant to be for transitioning reasons. I'm layering this sound with this Davos sound, which is just a stump plaster. Later on, there's also another layer following the pattern, which is this one right here. This was a vocal phrase once. And then I added snap peep with these processing steps going on and turn it into this crunchy layer. There are 2 more layers for the main sound, which are going into this processing chain. If you want to learn this processing chain, watch my tearout tutorial, which I made a few weeks ago, which exactly explains the steps I'm doing here. So I don't explain it again. It's basically the same, just with different settings on the volumes of the EQ, I would say. This sound was just an audio file which sounded like this. So it was also a sound from phaseplant I made once, and I basically just took a tiny snippet and added some processing. First some snappy with the band reject filter again, some EQing, some spec ops for some weird processing, some spec comp probably, yes, spec comp, EQing, hybrid reverb, kilohertz clipper, I don't know why, some Pro L, I also don't know why, and that's it. After that, there's also this cashmere layer, which was a conga once, and it sounded like this. I basically pitched it down and cranked up the EQ, as you can see here. Don't do this at home, this looks illegal. And there's some spec up as well, some EQing, some shaper distortion, and some AC1 distortion or saturation. And these two layers together, as I said, go into this processing chain, which also has a snap PP4. And then this low and high split. Actually, we only need the high frequencies for this sound because I cut out the low end. And this is going into the processing chain I explained in my tearout video. So just go to this video and see how I explain these steps. After that, there's just some more EQing and some auto filtering and echo happening for transitioning reasons. The other really important part of Modal Nodes songs are glitches and just sound design flags, basically, which I appreciate a lot. I love weird sounds, and Modal Nodes do it in the best possible way. And this is my take on it. These glitchy textures, and there's actually some crucial stuff happening. With all the post-processing, it sounds like this. This is also going into the group processing, which I explained in the tearout video. So watch this. But on these sounds, I'm cutting out the low frequencies here with this automation. And on this one, I'm keeping the lower frequencies. So you can copy the steps from the tearout video and add the snappy before with the kilohertz distortion, and then you have the processing. But for the sound generation, so let me just group this entire T and show you what the sound sounds like without any processing. It's just glitches, basically, which you can make with this weird plugin DFX buffer override. I love doing sound design like this because you can just tweak random knobs and you can come up with the craziest stuff ever. So the plugin looks like this, and I applied this on a drop group of a different project file and just resampled a drop idea I had in mind, and I came up with these glitches by that. So if you already have something, just throw this on it, but make sure to just play the drop group without any background stuff and drums, and then you can just tweak it and you can come up with crazy sounds, record it, and then add the processing. And the processing now is really important. First I have a snap heap, which is just a disperser and some saturator. Then we have Fusion by iFeature, which is one of the best plugins for sound designing. This is basically resynthesizing the sound, and it creates this really spectrally, fizzly texture, which is awesome. Then we have an auto filter, which cuts out some mids, and we're adding some drive. Another auto filter, which is cutting out some more high end. After that, we have spec comp, because spec comp is essential to any sound. Some more EQing to form the low end a little bit more, similar to the step I showed earlier for the main sound. We also cut out some low end stuff. And I'm adding some AC1 after. And some bass lane for some stereo width. I will also feature this plugin in a different video soon, because this is actually pretty sick. Then we have ambassador to just boost the low end again. And an EQ, which you can't see, but it's not doing anything, as you can see. And this is basically the first step of the post-processing. As I said, this is going into the same chain as before. So without the processing, it sounds like this. Let's have a look at a different section, maybe a longer one. And this processing chain makes it crunchy and fat. Just go to the tearout video and see how I explain this chain, so I don't have to explain it twice. This is the main sound design. Now let's get to the Starburst stuff. There are some websites out there where you can download free Starburst samples. I actually also recorded my own from the Darth Maul series. I basically exported all Maul voice phrases from the recent series. Episode 1, 2, episode 3, 4, episode 5, 6, episode 7, 8. And this was a lot of work, but I can't give this away. I exported all the voice phrases and used them here. And these work pretty well when you want to do Star Wars related dubstep stuff. Regarding the other effects, there are some websites where you can download Star Wars sounds like this TIE Fighter or the Saber Swing, AAT Cannon, Django, Fat Blaster, or Mandalorian plaster. And this was basically all stuff happening in the bass group. We also have some more background stuff going on, like this sound, which almost sounds like R2-D2. This was an Atmo once, and I resampled it and pitched it up within the audio file to create this. I already explained the Darth Maul sounds. Every 2 bar I'm emphasizing at the beginning with this render. I don't know what this was, but this is just helping to emphasize the beginning of the phrase. I'm basically just emphasizing everything with distortion, compression, a little bit of delay, reverb, and some EQing. In the sample category, there isn't happening much. Uplifters, some effects, so the basic stuff. For the drums, I was using a Surgeon kick drum. So shout out to Surgeon. This kick drum worked really well. And a Moog snare, which I got from a free pack. Sounds like this, and I beefed it up. Works really well. And it's actually uncommon for this kind of rhythm to use a rim shot. It's not even a snare, it more sounds like a rim shot, and without the processing and with the processing. So the processing adds some more beef. And also really important when it comes to Star Wars rhythm are the hi-hats. Surgeon explained to me that it's important to use acoustic hi-hats, and this is why I'm using these kind of hats on top of each other. And for some filler drums, I'm using this Harrison Lates kick, which also works nice for some fun fills here and there. And of course, there's sidechain down below. I'm sidechaining the way Virtual does the sidechain with Shaperbox, and it works super well. But now let's get into the intro project file, so I can also show you how I made the intro. In this project, the intro sounded like this.
His betrayal was devastating, but
I started the song with a choir, and I actually rebuilt the Duel of the Fates theming. I changed the key, obviously, and also the rhythm of the different phrases, so it aligned with my version a little bit better, but it worked really well. And for this, I'm using the chorus choir, once on a male setup and on the female setup. And together, they work really well and massive. I actually combined 3 different Star Wars themes in this song. So after you have listened to the song, if you haven't listened to it already, it's on my SoundCloud. Let me know in the comments of the video or on SoundCloud which 3 Star Wars themes I used throughout the song. I already revealed the first one, but this was kind of obvious. Now let's get to the different layers. I'm layering up a bunch of different instruments for these epic chords. And this was so much fun layering up. First, I'm using this brass, which does not sound that good on its own. I added some overdrive to make it a little bit more massive in the midst. But on its own, it does not sound really good. Then we have this layer, which is a high string layer. After that, another high strings layer with a different setup, with some tremolo to create some more tension. Some more strings, but low strings this time. Beautiful strings. And a rendered sound also from Contact, but I don't know what this was. But I remember exactly this was a render from Contact. A bell type of sound. And finally the Spran sound. Really massive, really epic. Some Contact sweeps. These were from the Damage 2 library. Shout out to Heavier City. Some more crashes. Also from the Damage 2 library. Awesome stuff. And also more of the Darth Maul vocal samples.
his betrayal was devastating.
And there's also some processing happening without.
His betrayal was.
So I'm basically just making this louder.
His betrayal was. He would inflate the cities.
And these work perfectly well and create so much more tension atmosphere in the intro. And I really like this. After that, we have the Death Star alarm. Ironically, it does not really fit theming wise using the Death Star here, but it was the best alarm sound I could find for this situation. Also some Geonosian fighters and an LAIT. Let me know in the comments what your favorite Star Wars vehicle is. And some risers and sweeps. This was a Surgeon riser. And some more Contact stuff. Was an Atmo from Contact, I think. Also from the Damage 2 library. Some more Darth Maul stuff. I used some Kashmir samples here, which worked really well. I resampled those a few times. Added reverb. bounced it, reversed it. After that, we have some samples and some more background stuff. So nothing really crazy. So this is basically everything I made for this Modal Nodes inspired Star Wars tune, which came out fantastically. I'm super happy with the result, and I also learned a lot while producing it. If you have any questions, make sure to let me know in the comments, and also make sure if you want to grab any plugins to use my links in the description, which also helps me a lot in an indirect way. So I heavily appreciate that. And also make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and leave a comment, which are also free ways to support the channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Have a great day and goodbye.